Grace Millane's journey was supposed to be an adventure. A year of exploring new places and embracing life to its fullest. Instead, it ended in a tragedy on the other side of the world. What started as a missing persons case in Auckland, New Zealand, quickly spiraled into a dark mystery that captivated global audiences. What began as a seemingly innocent Tinder date turned into a nightmare, as she disappeared just days before her 22nd birthday, leaving her family devastated. Hey guys, welcome back to True Crime Desk. I'm Richard, and today we're going to go over the case of Grace Millane. Now, this is a little bit older. It's 2018, but it's interesting nevertheless. It has a lot of twists and turns. So before we get started, I want to introduce my co-host, who happens to be my sister, Maria. So how's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Fine. I'm doing fine.
Good.
So Grace Millane was born in Essex, England, the United Kingdom, when she was 21 years old. Her friends and family described her as a bright and caring individual, and Grace had recently graduated from the University of Lincoln, where she studied advertising and marketing. So once again, this is another case where someone is really well educated.
I agree. It's one that's wanted to go have fun and educated, loves people. It's kind of similar to the other things we've talked about, different cases. Yes.
Exactly. Seems to be similar in a lot of ways.
Unfortunately, yes.
Now, Grace was passionate and creative with a particular love for photography, and Grace was known for her adventurous spirit, always seeking out new adventures and opportunities to explore. Her passion to travel was a major part of who she was. So she didn't just graduate, because a lot of times people graduate and they want to take time off to check out things, but she was already kind of like that anyway, so it just kind of like fit in her bag, you know. She wanted to go out and travel and see the world.
Exactly. She had that spirit. She wanted to do new things and didn't want to just sit home and do nothing. So that's a fun way to be.
Yeah,
brave.
I guess if you can pull it off. For me personally, and it's a little sketchy, but you know, by yourself and all.
I like traveling with somebody. I don't know if I could travel alone.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We both agree. So we'd be together.
Yeah.
After finishing her studies, Grace decided to take a year-long backpacking trip around the world, as we mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. She had already visited several countries, including South Africa, before she arrived in New Zealand in November of 2018. Now, New Zealand was just one stop, her just most recent stop. She was going to go on past that, but that's where she was at the time, and unfortunately, that's where her life ended.
Yeah, it is very sad because she went to this beautiful place to, do an adventure, backpacking. She even actually, from my understanding, she was staying in a hotel with people that she had just met. They weren't like people that went with her, and that's brave as well, like we mentioned. And just, I think she even liked to hike, things like that. I know she did backpacking, hiking,
right?
Like you said, photography.
Mm-hmm.
She did a lot of things. It was very impressive, the things that she liked to do.
Yeah, like I said, that she was already an active person anyway. So it wasn't like she just doing this because she was graduating and didn't want to get into the work, didn't want to start working right away. Yeah. And it was out of her nature. She was already like that, adventurous anyway. So it kind of just fit right along with what she did.
Correct. We all like to take a little break. I'm sorry about that. We all like to take a little break before we delve into real life,
I guess that's what I hear. I didn't do that. December 1st, 2018 was her 22nd birthday. 21st, was it 21st or 22nd? I have 22nd.
22nd.
22nd birthday.
Yes.
So December 1st was her 22nd birthday. Okay.
Correct.
To celebrate, she arranged a date through Tinder with a man named Jesse Kempson, whom she had been chatting with online. Now, Grace and Jesse arranged to meet in Auckland, New Zealand. Now, Auckland was a popular city for tourists, and the Sky City complex was a notable destination, known for its restaurants and entertainment. And Grace was excited to enjoy her birthday. And from all appearances, it seemed like it was just any other normal night. So she met some guy on Tinder, and they were out hanging out, and she just wanted to have some fun, I guess.
Right. And from my understanding, at first she wasn't sure about it to meet some stranger, but then they were going to meet at that, like you mentioned, it was a public place,
Right.
so she felt safer about it meeting where there was a lot of people around, and you could actually see that on a video. But we'll talk about that in a
Yeah,
little
it was
bit.
kind of in the middle of
Yeah.
the city almost.
Yes.
It says at 5:45 p.m., Grace and Jesse met for the first time at the Sky City complex, and the pair greeted each other and were talking and laughing. And the Sky City security cameras captured their entrance, and the footage from this point forward would be pivotal. That's for sure. They would use this footage, as you'll see, to follow their movements.
I'm thankful for the video, to be honest, because if they didn't have that video, I'm not sure they would ever found her beyond, without it.
Yeah,
So,
they have a lot of cameras in those other countries. They're everywhere. Yeah, it's crazy. So the pair visited several bars and restaurants throughout the evening, and the first stop was Andy's Bar and Grill within the city complex. And so they were seen drinking and having a good time. And the next stop was a place called the Mexican Cafe, and they had tequila shots and some more drinks. And the night continued to another venue called the Blue Stone Room, where they ordered more drinks and were getting even more drunk. So they were drinking quite a bit. Said by this point, both Grace and Jesse appeared relaxed and seemed to be getting along great. An entire evening scene was captured on, like I said, the Auckland CCTV captured all this footage. And the footage showed Grace and Jesse interacting warmly and holding hands, and even at one point they were seen kissing. They eventually left the Blue Stone Room at about 9:40 p.m., and the CCTV footage captured them walking back to Jesse's apartment at the City Life Hotel. Now, Grace is seen entering the hotel lobby along with Jesse at 9:41 p.m., and this would be the last time that she was ever seen alive on camera. It's the last time anybody ever seen her alive. So that's pretty crazy.
it is crazy. Like you mentioned, at that last bar, well, my first thought was that's a lot of drinking. You go to
Yeah,
one
no
place and
kidding.
you go to another place and you do shots and then you go to another place. That's a lot of drinking for, obviously he knew what he was doing, but at the last bar, from my understanding, at one point she got up, and they didn't say where she went, but she had gotten up out of her seat and left for a couple minutes. And at that time, he was looking through her purse, going through her purse. And then when another time he left and went to the restroom, and she had at that point texted her friends and was all excited. Oh my gosh, I really like this guy. We really clicked together, and she was real excited about it the night. And from my understanding, that was the last text messages that anybody heard from her.
Yeah, I didn't remember the part with the purse because there is actually, like I said, there's footage of everything, and they have that
Right,
as well.
right.
Yeah, so I don't know
Yeah.
what he was looking for, or who knows.
I don't know. I don't know.
Now, throughout their time together, nothing in the footage indicated that Grace was in any danger. It says the night appeared to be going smoothly. It's like they were getting along really well, and there was no obvious signs of any trouble between the two of them. However, this soon would change as soon as they got back to his apartment because he's not a good guy, as you're going to see. Where the evening it took a dark turn at that point. Once he got back to his place, all bets were off, I guess you'd say.
Right. I mean, they showed that there was a video of them getting into the elevator. Well, first arriving to the hotel, like you mentioned, then
Right.
getting in the elevator, and then he went out the elevator first. She followed, and that was the last, anything I'd seen. Everybody seen of her was that video. Once again, thankful for the videos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Now, after Grace failed to respond to messages, her family grew worried because she had always kept regular contact with them and everything during her travels. So her sudden silence, all of a sudden not saying anything, was alarming to them. On December 2nd, 2018, Grace's family officially reported her missing after not hearing from her on her birthday the following day. So if she's, that triggered an immediate concern from the family because her birthday was that actual day and she didn't call. It says that Grace was supposed to check in at her hotel, an Auckland hotel. She was supposed to check out that very day. So she not only didn't call on her birthday, but she didn't show up back at her hotel to check out. So they obviously were really worried.
Exactly. And her family mentioned that she always was sending them messages. So it was unlike her not to. And especially for her birthday, all of her friends were sending,
Exactly.
birthday wishes, things like that. And she wasn't responding. They knew something was not right.
Yeah, it's way out of character for her. That's for sure.
Correct. Correct.
So at first, the New Zealand police treated the case as a missing person, as they seem to do a lot, and they said backpackers sometimes go off the grid. So, but the concern grew quickly once they realized that the police launched a widespread investigation. It said after at her hotel and reviewed her traveling plans. Once they started going through her traveling plans and realized that she didn't just, she went missing. She wasn't out just messing around. So they were definitely worried about it.
Right.
As the police contacted Jessie earlier on as they tracked Grace's final movements through her phone and bank transactions. So they pretty much were on him right away because they could see where she was and who she was with.
Yes. And yep, the cameras and we'll talk about that in a little bit, her bank transaction as well. You're right. You're right.
Right. Yeah, that's what it said, that they went and traced all that. They did a good job as far as they were on top of it once. They thought it was missing persons or, was that she might not have returned, but that was really short. They pretty much, they figured out right away that was a lot more than that. So they didn't waste too much time on that, which is pretty impressive.
It was very impressive how fast they were figuring things out real quick.
Right. Now it says international attention grew, especially in the UK, as Grace's family made public pleas for information. New Zealand media reported extensively on the case. The concerns increased when days passed without any sign of Grace, as the last trace of Grace was on the night of December 1st. So they're definitely getting concerned now because it's becoming days, right. And this is not normal.
And watching the father's pleading for her safe return,
right. Exactly,
was so heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. Yep.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And that says Grace's digital footprint became a major focus of the investigation, as we had mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Police traced her movements through her phone records and monitored her social media accounts for activity. And she was last known on her phone. Her phone came from the City Life Hotel, is where Jessie's apartment was located. That's last time her phone was tracked to that location. The social media accounts, which Grace had used daily, were inactive. And so once again, because, this is the modern era, they're not going to be on the phone all of a sudden. There's something going on.
Correct. We always, even me, I'm on my phone all the time. You're always on your phone. It's like you feel like you're missing something if you don't have your phone and you're not kind of scrolling or something.
Yeah, and this is from two people who weren't raised with them.
Right.
They're new to us in a sense.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Oh, not too new. I'm not that old.
No, new. We weren't raised with any of this stuff. It's
correct.
New.
Yeah.
Bank data revealed no transactions after December 1st. So police discovered that Grace's final activities involved drinking and dining with Jessie, whose name quickly became the center of the investigation. The review of the CCTV footage revealed Grace entering the City Life Hotel with Jessie, but never leaving. Jessie's apartment became the primary focus of the investigation. After police realized Grace hadn't been seen since entering his building, the hotel keycard records confirmed that Grace had been in his apartment. With this evidence in their hand, the police turned their full attention to Jessie. So their eyes are locked on this guy at this point.
Right. And they started looking at the videos of different things. And like you said, using all that stuff to figure it out and seeing that she was with him at that bar. And that's where they started doing their investigation. Started watching every move he made. They had it.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's like if you see it, there's plenty of videos, plenty of footage out there. It doesn't seem real because you can actually see almost every move he was making.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's like cameras everywhere.
It's like a movie. It was like a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything that he did, but except for in the room, obviously. But
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there was a camera crew following around, like it was
Right.
a reality show or something.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
and the footage was like crystal clear too.
I know.
You
I
know,
know.
so
Yeah,
as police
they know there's
what?
stuff there. That's for sure.
As police gathered information from the CCTV footage and the phone records, they began focusing on the area Grace was last seen. Investigators retraced her steps, looking closer at her final location she visited on December 1st. The footage clearly shows Grace entering the City Life Hotel with Jesse, but she was never seen leaving, raising alarm bells. She's never left. With no activity on her phone or her bank accounts or social media that night. So when she went in, that was it. Just no more in. It just went dark.
Right. Right.
That's how they knew something was going on.
Yep. Yep. So the next thing they seen was him coming back down the next morning. I believe it was 8 a.m. They seen him video of him coming down that elevator by himself.
Right, exactly. By December 2018, Jesse became the primary suspect in the investigation. Police interviewed Jesse, who initially provided an account of what happened that night, and digital forensics of the CCTV footage contradicted his version of the event, showing inconsistencies between his account and Grace's last known whereabouts. His phone records placed him in suspicious locations after Grace's death. So, of course, he had a whole different story at the beginning, but you'll see he'll change that as well.
Right, right. And it's weird because you first hear him talking, and they had his face covered. I guess they do things different there. So it had his face
Right.
covered up first until, later then you can see. And if you listen to him talk, he sound legit, like he's being honest. He did at first,
Right.
But once again, the footprints, however you want to call it, with the camera is showing him leaving, him going to a store and different things. He wasn't going to get away with this at all. They were on him quick.
It's funny you mentioned the blurred out. It says, when you do videos, you obviously get images.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed there was a lot of them that are blurred out. And I noticed they do that in other countries, even when they're convicted and they're adults. They'll like hide their identity, like they're protecting them. I just don't get it. But I noticed they did that a lot. There's some images, and quite a few of them got his face blurred out for some reason.
Yeah, from my understanding, they did it for a certain period of time. It was to protect him, like you said, through the trial and everything. But then after, the end and things, years later, it was taken, down on a lot of the videos.
Yeah. And Jesse first claimed that Grace had left his apartment alive the next morning. He told police that they had parted ways amicably and with Grace planning to continue her travels. However, the CCTV footage showed no evidence of Grace leaving his hotel. Once again, they never saw her again.
Right.
So he claimed that they left and everything is hunky-dory, I guess they say. I guess that's how you say it. But and no one ever saw her leave.
Right, right. And he went down that elevator, like I mentioned earlier, and was leaving on his own. And he actually went to, there was another video showing him at a store buying a suitcase.
Yeah. Yes, it did. So this story didn't explain the lack of communication from Grace afterwards. Police noted discrepancies in his timeline and behavior after the disappearance. Jesse attempted to downplay the situation and fell apart under further scrutiny, particularly as investigators found digital evidence suggesting a more sinister event. So they're on top of this guy, and he's just not getting away with it. He's
Right.
just trying, but.
Yep, they like you said, they were on top of it, and he did one thing after another that showed that he was up to no good. The different videos, and then he went down the elevator. He went to a store and bought a suitcase, and then he went to another store and bought cleaning supplies, and also a carpet cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, following Jesse's arrest, police searched his apartment and found traces of Grace's blood. Further investigation revealed that he had rented a car and driven out to the place. Now I'm not going to butcher this name. I'm going to say it's Waikiki.
It's a very hard name to say.
I have
Yeah.
no idea how to say it, but anyway, It's a remote area in Auckland, and the police traced his movements through the GPS data and the CCTV. So once again, the cameras,
Mhm.
which showed him purchasing cleaning supplies in a suitcase. Now, on December 8th, 2018, police discovered a suitcase buried in that same place. I gotta say it again. I can't pronounce it. And it contained Grace's body. So they found her pretty easy with those using those cameras once again.
Yes. Yes, and I also heard that when they were doing their investigation that he had posted something on her social media, the like apologizing for something before they actually met, and then he posted something after. And then I also heard that people that knew him as a person was saying that he was a pathological liar. He was known
Yeah.
to be a liar and making things up, and never was telling the truth, and he couldn't keep a job either. He was getting fired from different jobs constantly.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
As that Grace's body had been placed inside the suitcase and buried in a shallow grave, the suitcase had been weighted down with dirt and foliage. In order to attempt to conceal the crime, investigators noted that the condition of the body indicated significant effort to hide what had happened. It was later revealed that Jesse had strangled Grace to death in his apartment, and then took the time to try to cover up the crime, including cleaning his apartment and disposing of the body. The discovery of the body confirmed police suspicion and turned the investigation from a missing person cases to an M investigation. So now
Yep.
it's took full circle now.
It did, and he's in there talking to the investigators, and he's making these stories up. He wasn't honest at all. He tried to act like it was her fault and things like that. But that's just not new. You hear that all the time from these people.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much so.
Yeah.
After Grace's body was found, police arrested Jesse Kempson. How do you say that? Kempson?
Yes,
Kempson.
Kempson. Yes.
On December 8th, 2018. Jesse initially denied any wrongdoing, claiming he had nothing to do with Grace's disappearance. He continued to insist that Grace left his apartment alive. His cool demeanor during the questioning raised suspicions about his involvement, and the investigators noted how he seemed more concerned with his own situation than Grace's fate. It's like he can care less about her. He's more worried about whether he's being charged or not.
Right. Right. It's funny because not funny, but interesting is that the investigators, when they were doing their investigation, at one point they went to the hotel where they were, both staying at the hotel he was staying at, and they were inside talking to the people, asking, I guess probably where his room was or whatever,
Right.
and he was actually arriving, and
Yes.
he's seen them in there, so he nonchalantly turned around, just doop to doop walking,
Yep.
But they were quick and seen him, went running out there and got him. Yeah.
Yes.
And that was on video too. That was on video as well.
I was going to say that, and once again, that was all on video.
Yes.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah. As pressure from investigations increased, Jesse changed his story. He eventually claimed that Grace had died accidentally during he described as a consensual rough sex. According to Jesse, Grace had asked him to choke her during sex, and her death was unintentional as an unintentional consequence. However, forensic evidence and the circumstances surrounding her death contradicted this explanation. So he claimed that it was during rough sex.
Right. Which the forensic people said that she had bruises and things that showed that she was like held down, and also on her chest, like she was being held down. And it was, proved that he was full of baloney. That was not true.
Yeah, like he was holding her down or something.
Yes. Yeah.
Instead of calling for help or contacting authorities after Grace's death, Jesse took deliberate steps to cover up his crime. He spent the next several hours cleaning his apartment to remove any evidence of the crime. He then left his apartment and got into the nearby store and purchased cleaning supplies, including bleach, gloves, and items to help him conceal what had happened. His behavior demonstrated a clear intent to hide the crime rather than to report it as an accident. So once
Exactly.
again, the evidence isn't backing his story.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, and he bought all that stuff, went up there and put her inside that suitcase, and then
Yeah.
took off, went back down the elevator in the same clothes he wore when he went on a date with her, to go on
Right.
another date with a different person.
Yeah. It's almost now when you see these people in hotel rooms and they got a big bag, you wonder if there's a body in it.
Yeah,
Because that seems to happen quite often, actually.
yeah, yeah.
Now, on December 2nd, the day after Grace's death, Jesse was seen on CCTV purchasing a large suitcase at a local store. He places Grace's body inside the suitcase and later transported it to that place I can't pronounce in a rental car. Now, the GPS tracking and bank records and CCTV footage clearly shows his movements during this time, further implicating him in the crime. So, as we can say over and over again, those cameras, man, they
Yep.
really
They
solved this crime.
they did solve the crime, because otherwise, I don't think they would have known what happened to her, because nobody knew who she was meeting. They just knew that she was meeting somebody.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and she's not from there, so she doesn't have any
Exactly.
family or anything there. She's a visitor.
Exactly.
After disposing of Grace's body, Jesse continued to behave in a chilling, casual manner. CCTV showed him returning to his daily life as nothing had ever happened, including shopping and going out to eat. In a particularly disturbing act, Jesse went on another Tinder date the very next day with a different girl. His ability to carry on with normal routine while knowing that Grace was dead added to the cold-bloodedness and his calculated manner. So that's pretty obvious that, like you said, he went on another date the very next day.
Right. Right. And from my understanding, he did some searches on his phone. They found, as they're doing their investigations after the fact,
Right.
that of the area that he dumped her body, that was on one of the searches. There was some other
Yeah,
stuff too, some weird stuff. Yeah.
His people searching things on their phone is just, well, I guess we're glad that these people do dumb things because then they get caught,
Right.
you
Right.
know. So forensic analysis of Jesse's apartment revealed that Grace's blood, despite his attempts to clean the scene. Further forensic testing confirmed that the blood matches Grace's DNA, directly linking her death to Jesse's apartment. So they got him locked in even more now.
Yes, they do. Yes,
So all
they
that
do.
cleaning was worthless.
Yeah, because when I seen the pictures, it was, I don't know what he cleaned, because it was all over the place.
Yeah, well, you're cleaning it to where you can't see it with your eyes, but when you do that luminol, it lights the floor up. So
Yeah.
it's going to be in especially carpet.
Correct.
You know how that is, right? Everything's. If you ever had animals and carpet, it gets buried in there.
Yes.
CCTV footage from multiple locations played a central role in this case. Footage showed Jesse and Grace together on the night of December 1st, entering the City Life Hotel. Additional footage captured Jesse's suspicious activity the next day, including purchasing the cleaning supplies and the suitcase used to transport her body. As we had mentioned earlier, that's pretty damning evidence, and it's all on camera.
Right. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think I heard that he used her credit card to get the rent a car.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you're right. Now, Jesse's internet search history became a crucial piece of evidence as well. It says just hours after Grace's death, Jesse searched for information on how to dispose of a body and clean up a crime scene. His chilling searches include terms related to flesh-eating birds and large bags near me. The searches proved that Jesse was actively planning on how to get rid of Grace's body rather than reaching out as an accident death. So he didn't reach out. If it was an accident, he would have reached out, and instead he's
Right.
trying to hide the body.
Right. And what's scary is that the second girl he went on the date with the next day in the same clothes, he
Yeah.
had asked her, he mentioned something about, do you know how to like dispose of a dead, body?
I know.
And she's like, oh, peace out on this, so she did not leave with him. Thank goodness. So, thank goodness.
Yeah. Now, during Jesse's trial, it contained the claim that Grace's death was an accident. He still was claiming that during the trial, repeating his defense that it was a case of consensual rough sex gone wrong. This defense strategy sparked outrage and backlash, with many viewers seeing it as a way to shift blame onto Grace and avoid responsibility for her M. Now, public opinion heavily turned against Jesse as the disputed evidence of his actions, particularly his attempt to cover up the crime with his presence. That he wanted to cover up the crime. The rough sex defense was seen as a disturbing attempt to trivialize violence against women. So it didn't work in his favor, that's for sure. They definitely liked him less after all that.
Right. And I wouldn't want to be a lawyer that would bring up that defense because, yeah, I know they have to help, defend people, but man, oh man, I wouldn't want to be the lawyer. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, that's for sure. Now, Grace's family traveled from the UK to New Zealand to attend the trial, providing emotional support and a visual reminder of the human toll of the case. Now, Grace's father, David, gave a powerful victim impact statement describing how Grace's death had devastated her family, it's very obvious that's what had happened.
Exactly. One thing I noticed too, it really touched my heart was in New Zealand, I don't think it was detective or prosecutors, but the gentleman that had talked about, we found her. I mean, he could barely speak. He was so upset. And then there's a lady that did a press conference as well, and she was the same way, and she was apologizing, to the family for this happening, in New Zealand. And so it sounds to me like not a lot of stuff bad happens there. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed that way from them talking. And the fact that he literally flew to New England to, give condolences and be there for the family, it showed a lot. It really did.
Yeah, he flew all the way from England to go to, they wanted to be there.
Yep.
It's understandable. After weeks of testimony and deliberation, the jury found Jesse Kempson guilty of the M of Grace Millane. On November 22nd, 2019, the prosecution successfully argued that Jesse had intentionally strangled Grace during their encounter and took deliberate steps to conceal the crime afterwards. The jury rejected the defense, siding with the evidence that suggested Grace's death was neither accidental nor consensual. The guilty verdict brought a sense of justice for Grace's family, though it could have never undo the loss that they suffered, that's for sure. But I guess he, I don't know if it made him feel better, because there's no way it's going to make you feel better.
Right.
Maybe,
I mean, they're just thankful that they found her, so they have their baby back,
I think they were real thankful with the investigation as well, because they did a really good job.
They did. They were on top of it. They really were.
On February 21st, 2020, Jesse was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum non-parole period of 17 years. The judge condemned Jesse's actions as brutal and callous, highlighting the calculated manner in which he disposed of Grace's body and tried to cover up his tracks. The 17-year minimum sentence reflects the gravity of the crime and Jesse's lack of remorse. So 17 years to them is extreme. To me, that's actually pathetic.
I feel the same way. I'm like, 17 years to me is nothing. You M somebody, they're not around anymore.
Right.
17 years, no. I don't understand this life, and then but 17 years you can get out.
Well, yeah, it even says 17 years. It basically says 17 years. That tells you right there how rough it was. It's like, what? 17 years tell you was that bad? I mean, how much worse can you get? And it's just like, okay, I don't get it, but that's the way other countries are.
Yeah,
they're way more lenient on their sentences. That's for sure. I think sometimes they lose track of the victims and they're more concerned about the person committing the crime.
Exactly.
But that's just my opinion. So what do you guys think? You disagree or agree? Because I know I say that once in a while, but I'm very tough when it comes to that. I believe that life is life, and people need to be executed more. Obviously, if they have the evidence, you want to make sure that they have everything and they get their appeals. But just 17 years is, so am I wrong on that? I mean, let me know in the comments. I mean, am I too rough or do you agree with it? But to me, 17 years is not enough. That's for sure.
I agree. So I agree with Richard. I think that we'd like to know what you guys think because I also agree 17 years seems like a drop in the bucket. It doesn't seem like enough for anything.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it, but I also would like to know what you think, what the difference is between the way they do their justice and the way we do ours in the United States, because it's a lot different, a lot
Yeah.
different. They
It's
were
quite a
on
bit.
top of it. The cameras were so clear, like Richard mentioned, you could really see what was going
Yeah.
on versus here you'll get camera footage of things and you can't even see what's going on. There's so many cases that haven't been come to justice because they can't tell who the person was in the video. So that
Yeah.
to me was impressive. The video footage was very impressive.
It is.
Um,
It is, but I'm not arguing for cameras in every corner. I don't like that. I mean, I think it was good in this case. It was good for them, and you can do that there, but I don't. I don't like those police states. I think it's too much, but in this case, it's good. It worked for them, but I'm not arguing for cameras on every corner out here. I mean,
oh,
like I said, am I wrong on
if
that
you,
one too? Because I
yeah,
completely, I
I
don't
don't
like
really
that.
know what I think about that, but in my opinion, I don't have anything to hide. So, to me, I feel like a lot of times cameras really help, like in this case. But I don't know which way I feel on that, so you guys can let us know that as well. I did want to bring up something I'm not sure if you knew as well. He actually there's two other women that seen when they were looking for her and seen the pictures and things, and they were horrified because they went on uh,
Yeah,
dates with him, I believe.
right.
And so he went to trial two other times. In 2020, he was found guilty both trials with similar things. Obviously, they're still alive, but similar things that
Yeah.
happen. Yep. So who knows? I mean, there could be more people out there with this piece of work.
So Grace's family, who had remained composed throughout much of the trial, were visibly emotional, with the father expressing both relief and deep sorrow. Grace's father said, quote, Grace was a beautiful, loving daughter whose life was cut short in a most horrific way, end quote. So that's pretty bad. And as you mentioned earlier, it says Jesse was also convicted of several other crimes, including assault and domestic abuse against other women. So yeah, he's not a good guy. So they got him on some other stuff as well.
And you know what's really weird, Richard? I was telling David this that when I was watching the video and I'm listening to this guy talk, and I don't know if this is going to sound really silly, but I don't know if it's because he had an accent and stuff, but he just sounded like this normal guy, kind of cool,
Yeah.
and you get that sense of comfort almost where you trust. And it just shows you cannot trust anybody in this world. You got to be careful. You've got to be careful. They could
Well,
look
those
like a good guy,
yeah.
but doesn't mean they are.
Well, those people that are doing this kind of stuff, they're very charming. Like Bundy was very charming. That's how they get away with it because
Yeah.
it's not that she was a dumb girl, because she wasn't. She's very intelligent, and if you fall for that kind of stuff, doesn't mean you're a dumb person.
Not
These
at
people are
all.
really good at faking it. So, and it's hard. You want to trust people, and you want to think people are being honest. But yeah, it's not surprising. They're usually very good at that.
Very cunning. You're
So
right. You're right.
yeah, so Grace's family set up a foundation, it's the Grace Millane Foundation, to raise awareness of the dangers of violence against women, remembering Grace for who she was and not for the tragedy surrounding her death. So that's pretty cool that they did that. So they can. Her family
Yeah.
is extremely devastated. Of course, you can tell the mom and
Oh,
dad. It's
yes.
just like you watch their face, and it's heartbreaking.
It was very heartbreaking.
Yeah. So it's a really sad case, but I'm glad they found her. Family was able to take her home, and so at least they have that. And they were pretty quick getting this guy, and I'm glad he's in jail. Like I said, I don't think 17 years is enough. I think it's 17 years minimum. So it doesn't mean he's going to get out at 17 years, but still, I think ours is 25 minimum. So it's pretty rough,
Yeah, I think they need to change those things, but that's my personal opinion.
right? So you have anything else on this case before we close?
Nope. Like I want to agree with you. I'm thankful they found her and the family was able to, put her to rest and just, pray for the families. And we once again would like to ask for your comments and suggestions because we would like to know if there's other cases you want to hear about us to talk about. And also give thumbs up and subscribe.
Yeah, give us some suggestions if you have some. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
We need to get that input so we can, we can get better because that's our goal.
Correct.
All right, guys. So with all that being said, until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember to always mind your surroundings. Bye.
Bye.